This is not for recording.
Okay.
I've ridden around in the youth bus that I used to drive in later years with ML Jr. laying down the back seat. I mean on the floor, in the back down on the people didn't even know he was in Atlanta. I mean just all kinds of situations that opened up that were, you
Did
know,
you change your mind? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well,
But
raise it just a little
yeah, I'm just saying there were so many things
that you could
that
talk
went on
about.
that I had that were unique experiences. And
That nobody
Julian
else
would
has had.
Julian would know about some of them,
But not
and
all.
Ben Brown who died.
We're
See, the
gonna talk
three of
about-
us were a troika. Now Lonnie grew up in Ebenezer too, but Lonnie was. Now this part you cannot record.
Okay, no, we're not recording. We're not
Okay,
recording.
Lonnie was 3 years older than I am, I think, anyway. But my point was, Lonnie was one of these people who were always going to be, he was going to always be out front, going to be the leader of things. See, we were not like that. That was not what we were taught.
Well, what we're gonna do is we are gonna roll now,
Okay, but don't ask me anything about them. That's
No.
why.
Okay. First question I ask everybody is give me your first and last name, and then the college you attended, and what year you were graduated.
Okay, just a college, okay. Uh, my name is Albert Paul Brinson, and I'm a 1961 graduate of Morehouse College, born right here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Now, when we talk about 1961, that was a turbulent time, but there were outstanding people helping to make a change. In that first meeting at Yates and Milton, who do you remember being there?
That was 1960. It wasn't 61. It was 1960. And I was not in a meeting at Yates and Milton because there was no, the meeting, that the gathering, otherwise, just sitting, we used to sit and meet in Yates and Milton, sit around and talk. And so the demonstrations that occurred in Orangeburg, South Carolina, the first, they were calling between sit-downs or sit-ins or whatever it was. It just meant that Negroes would sit, had moved in and sat down in previously all-white restaurants where we were not allowed. So the conversation grew out of what went on. I was not in the first conversation it didn't really organize in Yates and Milton. The conversation just thought, hey, did you see what happened? That kind of thing. And so after that, it was Lonnie and Julian and a fellow by the name of Joseph Pierce, who's dead now. I remember them coming up back on the campus. So I know they had been talking about it. It wasn't a meeting as such, and no official meeting. It was just to talk, like we talked about other conversations. And I was where we usually met up around Sale Hall, the chemistry building, and between the chemistry building and Sale Hall. And they came up to me and said Albert, but we've been talking about what went on in South Carolina, and we think we ought to do something here, and and we need to get us a small group to talk about it. And so they asked me about that, and I said, okay, sure, I'd be happy to. And and it was not involving a whole lot of people then. It was just a handful. All the people that we talked about from Spelman and all of the young, they were not involved in any of that then. This was the first. I'm talking about the very first time. And so after, as a result of that, when it grew to where more were added. I mean, we started talking, and Lonnie was spearheading the things to talk about. We needed to get some advice from the college president, Dr. Mays, and so forth and so on. And it was the college presidents that really gave us the impetus to say we need to involve if we're going to do something. Period. This is not just about going out, starting a big march, and everybody going downtown and sitting down. We must do something unique. Atlanta was a situation that where you found the largest black consortium of higher educational institutions that there are. And at that time, Atlanta University was a graduate school. there was no Atlanta Clark. Atlanta Clark was an undergraduate co-ed school. Morehouse, of course, was male. Spelman was male. Morris Brown was co-ed, and the Interdenominational Theological Center, the seminary. So this meant that we were all a part of the Atlanta University Center at that time, and that all of them combined, and they had a relationship between the college, the university president, Dr. Clement at Atlanta University, Dr. Richardson at ITC, Dr. Mays, of course, Morehouse, Dr. Brawley at Clark, Dr. Manley at Spelman, and I am trying for I cannot remember exactly who was the president at the time at Morris Brown, but all of the presidents, began to talk over this, and this is the general spirit, not without the detail. I'm not giving you the details. I can't remember all the details, but this is actually what happened. And there were the private meetings and the gatherings when they said, well, we need to do something that's unique. And Atlanta in that time, Atlanta was the place, so to speak. Still, as we've thought of ourselves as being on top of everything, the city too busy to hate and all these other things. That but the most sophisticated of the Negroes, etc. At that time, that's right.
Let me ask you about the beginning demonstrations, because when I